So hello everyone, right now we are in part 9 of module 1. So in part 8 we were dealing with the transmission impairments, and mainly we discussed the three types of impairment, that is attenuation, distortion, delay, distortion, and finally we just started the noise part. Okay, so you already know the undesired signal that is being added with the original signal on the way is what we call as a noise. And we saw four types of noise, and each one we will see in detail here. Not much detail, in a brief way. Starting with the very first noise, that is a thermal noise. The word itself says that it is something that is related to the temperature, right? So thermal noise is due to the thermal agitation of the electronics, thermal agitation of the electrons within the media. Okay, medium or maybe when you are dealing with any electronic device as part of your communication, wherever this thermal agitation of the electrons is possible, that may add to some kind of noise called a thermal noise with the original signal. So it is present in all electronic devices and transmission media, of course, and is a function of temperature. So it is uniformly distributed across bandwidths typically used in communication system, and hence it is called a white noise. So we already seen, if you look in the attenuation, distortion or delay, distortion, those things are something that is varying as a function of frequency. But here it is not like that. Simply if you are looking at the frequency band or that particular bandwidth, it is something that is uniformly distributed across the entire band. And here it is not a function of frequency, nothing. It is purely a function of temperature only. So as it is uniformly distributed across the bandwidth of the signal, we are also call it as the white noise. The thermal noise cannot be eliminated, and therefore places an upper bound on communication system performance, because this temperature related problem. So whenever you are using that electronic device or medium, whatever it is, for some long time, definitely that temperature variation will be there. Accordingly the electrons agitation will be there, and that will lead to the thermal noise. So we can't eliminate it at all because it is there in any communication. Maybe the upcoming noises we are discussing, if we try, we can eliminate, but this is something that we can't eliminate completely. And they are given a formulation for the thermal noise. The amount of thermal noise, I think I saw a question from there, so just listen to this. The amount of thermal noise to be found in a bandwidth of 1 Hz, that is the range of frequency, maybe like 3 Hz to 4 Hz, so that the bandwidth is 1 Hz. So for unit bandwidth, that is 1 Hz, how much thermal noise is found for a device or maybe a conductor is given like by the formulation. N0 is equal to kT, say watts per hertz, because we are talking about for unit hertz of bandwidth how much thermal noise, so per hertz. And it is the unit is something power, how much noise getting added, how much noise power is added. So the unit is watts per hertz, because for unit hertz we are measuring it. So the unit is watts per hertz, and the formulation is just K into T. And what are the parameters? Like N0 is nothing but the noise power density. As it is noise, they are representing the noise as noise power density. That is why we are getting the unit watts. In watts per unit bandwidth, like 1 Hz of bandwidth. And K is the Boltzmann's constant. I think you may learn this terminology in your plus 1 plus 2 classes. I mean, I'm just mentioning only, and if you want more detail you can refer to those textbooks and all. And the value of this Boltzmann constant is 1.38 into 10 raised to minus 23 joule per Kelvin. Okay, so this much power per Kelvin is a constant value, and T is the temperature in Kelvin. So just look at the units here, because that standard unit is Kelvin. In Kelvin we are expressing the absolute temperature, right? Now when you are applying this formulation for a problem, you can take care of these parameters, like as I mentioned, this joule, Kelvin. I'm just given some detail about it. So a joule is the international system, that is SI unit. You already learned this SI unit of the electrical, mechanical and thermal energy. So for energy in SI unit we are using the unit joule. Now for power in SI unit we are using the unit watt, okay, and 1 watt is nothing but how much energy per unit time, that is joule per second, okay. The Kelvin, that is SI unit of the thermodynamic temperature. So listen here, it's a thermodynamic temperature that is related to this thermodynamic phenomena. Now for a temperature in Kelvin, say T Kelvin, the corresponding temperature in the degree Celsius. So if they are giving the value in degree Celsius something, you have to convert it back to Kelvin to apply the formulation. So this is how they are related. The temperature in Kelvin minus 273, or approximately you can take 273 to exactly 273.15 will give you the temperature in degree Celsius. So degree Celsius to Kelvin you have to add 273.15, and Kelvin to degree Celsius you have to subtract that value. Now I already told you the noise power density can also be expressed in, instead of this watt you can use decibel watt, okay, and whenever there is that decibel term is coming, some kind of logarithm is taken like that. Decibel watt per hertz again, where the absolute decibel value of the power is defined like this. So if you have this the power in watt, this power here, it is the noise power, whatever it is, how you can convert that power in the standard unit of watt to the decibel watt, okay. Take a logarithm of that value, multiply it with 10. So this is how you are converting anything to decibel. So whenever something you are expressing it in decibel, maybe decibel watt or decibel something else, take the actual value logarithm and multiply it with 10. So decibel 10 log actual, like that you remember, okay. So in this case we are trying to convert the power in watt to decibel watt by taking like this. So this is a relation. So what we seen already is the thermal noise per unit bandwidth. That means when we taken the bandwidth as 1 hertz, what is the thermal noise? It was kT. Now for B hertz of bandwidth, definitely it will be kT into B, okay. The thermal noise in it is not varying as for the different bandwidth or frequency, but how much bandwidth is there, that times noise will be generated, and it is exactly that times because it is uniformly distributed across the bandwidth. So we called it as white noise even, right? So now the formula become like this. For B hertz, some additional term B will be added there. And as before, you can convert into decibel watts. You know, to convert this quantity in decibel watts, you have to do what you have to do 10 times logarithm of this, okay. And you know 10 times logarithm of AB is log A plus log B for multiplication, right? So here 3 terms are getting multiplied, so 3 addition terms will be there. Everyone will be multiplied with the 10. 10 log K plus 10 log T plus 10 log B. And K is the Boltzmann constant, and we learned a value for that. Substitute that value here, and you will get something like a 10 power something, and that here by default logarithm base is 10. For decibel conversion, 10 log of that quantity which is to be converted to decimal to the base 10. The base is taken as 10, and you know by default if you are writing log, that means the base is 10 only. For natural log we have a notation like a ln, and similarly if it is base 2 we will simply write like a lg, okay, not like a log. So log by default it means 10, no need to explicitly specify it. So 10 log K, this substitute the value for the Boltzmann constant, it will be simplified to say minus 228.6 decibel watt. So see how you are getting this by substituting the value here, 10 log T plus 10 log B. So like that also you can apply, okay. In the modulation noise, when signals at a different frequency, we already seen that white noise or thermal noise. Now we discussed about 4 types of noise. Now the second type, that is intermodulation noise. Okay, and again the word itself says something, right? So when the signal at a different frequency share the same transmission medium, the result may be intermodulation noise. That if you are looking at any gated transmission media, mostly this twisted pair and all, a bundle of this twisted pair will be or collection of twisted pairs will be bundled together into a single cable, and you will be sending, and each part of this twisted pair cable means within the cable there is a bundle of such twisted pairs, and each twisted pair is capable of transmitting the information. So altogether everybody is traveling through the same cable, right? So different twisted part of the twisted pair cable will be carrying different signals, say maybe from different sources. So when the signals at different frequencies share the same transmission medium, this is one example like that, by multiplexing and all, people try to send a different signal through the same medium. The result may be intermodulation noise. Why we are trying to share the same medium for different signals? Because if you are providing different medium, accordingly the cost will increase, right? So we will always try to optimize it in such a way that many of the signal will try to send over a common medium if it is possible by a phenomenon called multiplexing and demultiplexing, that we will see. So when we are doing like that, as all the signal are traveling nearby, they may interpolate with each other, may add or something, subtract. That kind of signal joining may happen, and accordingly it will lead to some unwanted signal called intermodulation noise. The effect of intermodulation noise is to produce signal at a frequency that is, I already told you, the signal frequency may be added or subtracted, some more difference of two original frequencies or multiples of those frequency. In any way they may interpolate. So for example, the mixing of signals, say at a frequency f1 and f2, might produce energy at a frequency, say f1 plus f2. That may happen. So now a new frequency is generated that is not there in the original signal, and the derived signal could interfere with some intended signal, say at a frequency f1 plus f2. So already we have a signal with the two frequency f1 and f2, and they get added and resulting with a unwanted signal of frequency f1 plus f2, and that is being interfere with the some maybe in unwanted or intended, maybe someone intendedly adding that disturbance to our signal, say by simply with a signal of frequency f1 plus f2. So like that the signal frequency addition, subtraction, and that will lead to some unintended or unwanted signal called intermodulation noise. So intermodulation noise is produced by non-linearities in transmitter receiver or the intervening transmission medium. Okay. So this terminology in linearity, non-linearity, again it needs some more understanding. Even I too don't know much about it. So again you leave that much detail to electronics people. Just understand that that is the terminology only. So because of that we are getting this. So ideally these components have we are expected to have a linear system, then everything will work fine. Where the output is equal to input into some constant, that is fine. So whether it is a transition medium or a device on the way, some signal will be getting into this and it will be leaving, right? So that leaving part is called the output, and what is getting into that device, maybe the say amplifier or the repeater on the way, the signal will be coming and it will be going out. So if the signal that is going out is some constant times what is coming out, then everything is fine. Such systems are called a linear system. But non-linear system means in real life we are not able to achieve this performance, and that is actually leading to this kind of addition, subtraction, etc. of the frequency and the intermodulation noise. However, in any real system the output is a more complex function of the input, and you can't expect it like just a constant times the input or a linear system. So accordingly we have the non-linear system that is leading to this. So it is under these circumstances that the sum and difference of frequency terms occurring. Okay. And now the third kind of the noise is called the crosstalk. you are safely traveling over a particular cable, and on the way you are getting interfered with someone that is say moving in parallel with you. Okay, the other one, those who are sharing the same medium are suffering from intermodulation scheme. But here the signals are traveling through different medium, but still it is getting means when you are making phone calls and all, you may be listening this like while you are talking smoothly, you may I think most of you may experienced some other person's voice you are getting, and that is actually because they are not taking care of this phenomenon called crosstalk. Okay, so some other signal is getting interfered with yours, and that is traveling through entirely different medium, say, but it is moving nearby you. The crosstalk has been experienced by anyone who, while using the telephone, mostly it is happening with voice over telephone, that has been able to hear another conversation. So entirely different message you are getting. Okay, it is an unwanted coupling between the signal path. On the way, two signals are traveling through different path. At some point, they are coupled each other in an unwanted way. That is leading to this. So it can occur by electrical coupling between the nearby twisted pairs, or rarely the coaxial cable also facing it. So to compare to twisted pair, the coaxial cable is constructed in a better way, but still some coaxial cable also facing this, say carrying multiple signals. Crosstalk can also occur when microwave antennas pick up unwanted signals. So when it comes to wireless communication, of course we have the microwave antenna if we are dealing with the microwaves, and that may again pick up some unwanted signal that is not for you. You know, in this microwave we are using in this voice communication as well as for some other purpose also. So on the way the signal is getting your signal is getting added with the that is because the antenna is capturing some unwanted signal on the way. Although highly directional antenna, if you are using something called directional antenna, you can control the microwave energy so that it is not spreading during the propagation. If it is spreading, chances are there this is getting coupled with the others. Okay, so by that is one solution for that, but they are somewhat costly and some design issues are also there. I think these things also we will see in your second module. And typically this crosstalk is of the same order of magnitude or less than the thermal noise. Just they have made a comparison with the first noise that we learned, that the thermal noise and the crosstalk, normally if you are looking at their magnitude, sometimes this crosstalk may even go up to the thermal noise, or it may be less than that. Okay, some problem here. Okay, now the fourth category of the noise called the impulse noise. This is the type of noise. So here also from word itself we can say that some kind of impulse. Impulse means some kind of a spike, right? In that way you can remember that is getting added with your signal. So the types of noise discussed so far have some predictable and relatively constant magnitude. Thus it is possible for engineer to engineer a transmission system to cope up with them. Okay, so far we were discussing the thermal noise, intermodulation and crosstalk. They have some predictable and relatively reasonably predictable and relatively constant magnitude, right? Thermal noise and all, we saw a formulation like some k times temperature, like that, some fixed value, some constant magnitude we can find out, and accordingly it can be dealt with the engineer. So some kind of continuity is there in such noises, but if you are looking at the impulse noise, it is not a continuous noise. As I already told you, something like a spike, it is non-continuous in nature, consisting of some irregular pulses or noise spikes of short duration and of relatively, say, high amplitude. It is generated from a variety of causes, including the external electromagnetic disturbances such as lightning and faults and flaws in the communication system. As I already told you, it is not like the previous one. On the way the signal is traveling smoothly, say without any problem, but definitely these external disturbances may also be there, right, like lightning. So accordingly some additional signal is suddenly getting added with your signal, resulting in impulse noise. So impulse noise is generally only a minor annoyance for long data with no less intelligibility, say voice communication and all, everything you can hear, in between you got a small disturbance, immediately you are getting the original communication back. So it is generally a minor annoyance if you are looking at the analog data, but of course again the digital signal is suffering more with the impulse noise. So impulse noise is the primary source of error if you are looking at the digital communication. And how it is going to affect the digital communication badly, it is because, say, a sharp spike of energy is a 0.01 second duration. So as it is impulse noise, amplitude is high, spike is added, but the duration may be very small. So that is why it is not affecting the analog communication much. But in such a situation, say we are taking that the duration is just 0.01 second only, but still it is going to destroy some 560 bits. For example, if you are taking a telephone digital data communication, say with the speed 56 kilobits per second, okay, how you are getting it, in every second the speed of the communication is or the data rate is expressed, is found to be it is a very small data rate only, 56 kilobits per second only, and still see the impact of an impulse noise, even though it is of very small duration like 0.01 second. How these things are related, like 56 kilobits per second, in every second it is sending 56 kilobits. Okay, kilobits. So you can multiply, say, with 1,000. Actually if you are looking at the size of a message and all, it has to be 1024. Okay, you round it to 1,000. So 56 into 1,000, that many bits per second. Then how much bits will be transmitted per 0.01 second? 560 bits. So those 560 bits are going to be affected with that impulse noise. So this is how it is adversely affecting the digital communication, digital data compared to the analog data. The same thing is there in all the impairments we learned. Most of the impairments are affecting the digital data badly compared to the analog data. Okay. So just like that, the impulse noise also. Okay, with this we are winding up the transmission impairments. So I made it in two different videos. The first one, the main impairments we saw in a brief way, that like the attenuation, distortion, delay, distortion and noise, a general view. Then in second part we saw particularly different types of noise, 4 types: thermal noise, intermodulation noise, crosstalk, and finally the impulse noise. Okay, thank you.